Hello, Bill Molyneux here for Bill's History World with Goober the Traveling Bear, and Kevin is with me, and we are in Kinston, North Carolina to help out the CSS Neuse Museum Education Center. And Goober hopes we'll have a great time. This is our second visit here, and we are bringing a donation check also. Well, they have a nice gift shop here, including some Bill Molyneux games from the old Fast Play War Games time period, 54 millimeter figures, a lot of neat stuff. And what I think is really outstanding is the Hunley and the David.
Those are magnets.
You know, they have 3D printed the CSS Neuse.
I don't know what.
I mean, that is cool.
There's no price tag on it.
All right, and Kevin and Walt are here with me, and they're checking out everything. Well, we are now in the museum that houses what's left of the CSS Neuse, fully Goober approved. And it's really amazing how large this ironclad is. This is our second video of the Neuse. We are here 2 years ago, and follow Goober the Traveling Bear around as we visit the CSS Neuse Education Center. What is amazing of how they were able to build the Neuse basically outside along the riverbank. And here's a great painting showing that. And it's quite the feat in this time period to produce such a vessel under such primitive conditions. And of course, they have a lot of the different pins, nails, fastening items that were used, along with tools. Now we're coming along the Neuse here, and it is quite impressive to look at it this way. I mean, very cool. One of the many things that I love about this museum is how they have all the different artifacts from the CSS Neuse, and then they're all labeled. And of course, some of this is easy to figure out. You know, that's a lock and key. Let's see what number 19 is. Number 19 is oar locks used on a smaller boat to secure the oars in place. So here we have the casemate in layers, 2-inch vertical iron plating, 2 inches of horizontal iron plating, 4-inch thick wood oak vertical oak plating, 5-inch thick horizontal pine plating, and 13 by 12-inch pine timbers. So, I mean, it's pretty good armor. There's our side view. Then I have Walt and Kevin with me. And here we are walking along this side of the Neuse. This is such a stunning museum. So much to see. Alright, here's our bit of a reproduction of the Neuse. So there's the casemate. You'll notice the decking of the Neuse was wood. It did not have armor on the deck itself. There's one of the hatches and a gun port. And up top is the pilot house. So the doors here would swing open for the crew to pivot the gun and fire. As we walk along the casemate, here's one of the guns. It had two guns, one in the bow, one in the stern. It could pivot through the different portholes. And this is really neat how they have the water. The floor of the museum is done in a polyurethane water. And then here we are in the interior. And this gives you an idea how thick the armor was to this gunboat. I mean, there you go. 2-inch vertical, 2-inch horizontal, 4, 6, another 13, over 2 feet, 2 feet thick. And here's our one gun. This is the wheelhouse, and it's very, very cool on-hands exhibit for children and adults. You're allowed to turn the wheel, and as you do, there's the rudder, and the rudder moves.
There you go.
Here's our captain's uniform. And then over here we have the regular seaman's uniform with equipment and clothing. Well, here we have the stove that was recovered from the CSS Neuse, and really neat. They have the railing that helped keep the pots and pans for spinning off the cooking surface. They recovered a lot of items from the Neuse when it was brought up. And here we have the Neuse from the other end. And just stunning.
If they were recovered back in the 60s, we were 5 and 6 years old.
So, an actual ironclad. The only Confederate ironclad above water. Well, here's the really nice model of the Neuse. The cutaway, you see it's two 6.4-inch Brook rifles. The engine room and the crew quarters. It's really neat. Whoever built this did a fantastic job. And here we are on this side. And once again, you'll notice the casemate is armored, but the deck was left with just wood. Alright, well here we have the top view of the CSS Neuse. And my buddies Walt and Kevin are at the other end. And you can get a feel of how big this is. Alright, and we'll be walking the second level of this museum, which holds a great deal of history, from women that were in the American Civil War. One of the things of the town country to deal with Confederate troops in their midst prior and during nearby fighting of the town, often felt the effects as it was shelled by advancing Union forces. Rural areas suffered from both depletions in food caused as forces from both armies passed through. Rose O'Neal Greenhow was a renowned Confederate spy during the Civil War. Okay, and Emily Jamison Piggott, Confederate spy. As I walked the museum, the evacuation of Kinston, Bentonville surrender, there's a lot to see here. The Battle of Weiss Fork, and as many of you may know this, I am in the process of producing a board game for this particular battle. They have a nice display of Civil War firearms. There's a great controversy over General Pickett, and Kinston endured was the hanging of 22 men in early 1864 during General Pickett's failed assault on New Bern. Confederates captured more than 300 Union prisoners. About 20 of these were men from Lenoir County area. At the war's beginning, they had joined local militia units as members of the Home Guard. Eventually, these units were converted into a regular unit, the 66th North Carolina Regiment, and sent to Wilmington. Upon learning that they would probably end up seeing combat, they deserted to New Bern, where they were volunteered to join Union forces and forced into doing so. General Pickett placed these men in Kinston Jail, located on the courthouse square, where they awaited their court-martials under harsh conditions. Some received as low as 1 cracker per day to eat. General Robert F. Hooke presided over their trials. Nearly all were denied counsel or witnesses on their behalf. Most proceedings lasted only a day and resulted in conviction and death sentences that usually occurred the following day. Very sad regarding deserters being hung and General Pickett in this time period. George Johnson, A Fight for Freedom. George Johnson was one of thousands of black men who joined the United States colored troops to fight for freedom. They have a very nice display and sections on the African American units and Lenoir County United States colored troops. Really neat roster. 35th and 34th, 14th, Eastern North Carolina. African Americans served as soldiers in the American Civil War as early as July 1862, after the passage of the Second Confiscation Act. Well, here we have the Battle of Kinston. We have a really nice Confederate soldier here with his musket uniform. And then over here we have our Union soldier with his musket uniform and cartridge box, canteen, bayonet. Both look really neat. A very nice display. Now, one of the things I find this museum is incredible at doing or working with is the homeschoolers. And you can see here they have a hands-on for cotton and weaving and a really neat display of homespun wool. So this is a very hands-on museum for clothing. And as you women and children of Kinston, you can spend hours here reading all the different information placards. The economy is even covered at this museum, and labor. Kinston's enslaved population in 1860. The enslaved people made up almost half of the population of both Kinston and Lenoir County. Most worked as hands in area cotton fields, such as the man depicted here. Well, as we walk along, the religion, Kinston had more churches in it than I'd ever saw in a small town. Really amazing, the different social activities. So this museum covers not just military history, but the life of both the enslaved, the women, the children of the Kinston area. And a lot of stories are being told here. Here's mourning during the Civil War. And here's a mourning dress. Now from the second level, once again, we are checking out the news from the top. And a lot to see here. It's really impressive of how big this ship was and the amount of work it took to build it with hand tools. And once again, there is so many placards, nurse, education or educator, humanitarian. I mean, amazing about how much information is packed in this one site. Clara Barton was an important pioneer in the development of humanitarian law and spread throughout the world during the Civil War. So, a really neat display of Clara Barton. And once again, here's the Neuse, and boy, it sure is an impressive naval vessel. So this is one of the most impressive things of this museum, is how it does so much for homeschoolers. And I really need to push that. If you have an extra $20 bill, and you want to make a donation to a site, this site really could use some help for their school programs. I'm here with Director, is that correct? Director,
Site manager.
Site
Still,
manager,
yeah.
Mr. Matthew Young,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
And can you tell me where we are at?
This is the CSS Neuse Museum in downtown Kinston, North Carolina. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CSS Neuse. We are located at 100 North Queen Street. We are part of the North Carolina Division of Natural and Cultural Resources. And our entire mission is to preserve that over there and tell the history behind that ship. That is the remains of the CSS Neuse. She is the only remaining commissioned Confederate ironclad above water.
Wow.
Originally, the South built 26 ironclads, and this is the only one left that you don't have to have scuba gear in order to see.
Okay.
We have a replica in here. We have hundreds of artifacts that were recovered off the ship. We also have another level up top where you can learn about the Civil War in Eastern North Carolina, the role of civilians in the war. And we have programs going on a number of times throughout the year. If you want to see our program schedule, check us out on Facebook.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Glad you're here. Thank you.
So Matt, tell me about the school program you do here.
Well, we offer a lot of different programs for students. We have homeschoolers, we have grades 4 and up that come. My staff here does a fantastic job with the kids. Sometimes we'll get groups so big we actually have to call in volunteers or call in people from other sites to help us out because you can only have so many kids per station. So we've got a lot of other activities that we'll do. This is kind of for younger kids that come, and if they want to kind of experience, hey, what was life like for a sailor on shore? We've got the tent set up. There's some period games and toys on the inside. And then we have our big children's section here. Again, we're kind of littles can keep themselves occupied maybe while you know, the older brothers and sisters or one of the parents can walk around into the museum. So we've got lots of different activities. The best thing to do is to get in touch with us, and we can kind of tailor a visit for you. Hey, I want to try shipbuilding. I want to try blockade running. I want to try I want information on the economies. We provide all that. Sailor life, soldier life. We do all those demonstrations here.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks. Thanks, Goober.
Bill Molyneux with Goober and Matthew Young at the CSS Neuse Museum.
Mm-hmm.
And we have donated $100, that is from our Goober t-shirts and mugs.
We're very thankful for it. Thanks,
right.
Goober.